This episode is brought to you by Preschool All-Stars, my exclusive membership community. As a member of Preschool All-Stars, you can unlock free access to Preschool University to help you with every milestone on your preschool journey. Here's a sample for you to enjoy. Today, we're going to learn all about the Preschool Director System, how to streamline your tasks and save time for you or your director.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to be talking about the director system, one of my faves. Now, when you're doing your preschool, you're most likely wearing the three hats. We talked about this in the last summit. You have the preschool teacher hat, you have the director hat, and you have the owner hat. And sometimes they feel like concrete bricks if you're wearing all three of them together, right? So here's how we work smarter, not harder, okay? I get that you're probably wearing all the hats. My goal is eventually, I want you to hire your teachers. Like, quite frankly, if you want to grow your preschool, you need to hire, okay? There's no way we could have grown had I not hired. I can't teach that many students. I can't wear all the hats and do all this big event stuff, right? With just doing it all by myself. Are you feeling a little bit of the pressure, a little bit of the weight right now? She's trying to grow into a big school, trying to grow her preschool as well. And so hiring is probably next to do on her to-do list after she gets her building, right? So I learned a couple things over the whole process. Let's see, my first teacher I hired was when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I have 5 children now. I had 3 when I was a single mom starting my preschool, got remarried, had my 4th child. But when I was pregnant with her, I knew I was going to obviously convert the garage, and therefore I needed a teacher. So I hired a teacher and had a phenomenal experience. And she really schooled me, quite frankly, in the early childhood education sphere. So if this is not your forte, if preschool and early childhood education is not your like second nature kind of stuff to you, just hire it, okay? And then of course learn the whole thing as well. But because you have these teachers who are phenomenal out there but they don't want to work in daycares. Okay, I'm getting into the hiring system. We'll talk about that later. So let's talk back to it. I hired my first teacher and then was able to kind of step back a little bit and start talking about just like, this is now what I'm doing as director. How do I make the school better and things like that? And I learned the one principle that I want to share with you, one of them, is to document everything, okay? Because as you're doing this, guess what's going to happen next year in the fall? It's going to happen again. And then what's going to happen the next year? Literally every single year, you're going to repeat the exact same experience of meet and greets and events and field trips and preschool class time and what worked and what didn't. And rather than reinvent the wheel every single year, document everything. So what I started doing, and do whatever system works best for you, but I suggest not pen and paper because it's going to change every year. You need it editable, okay? So whether that's Google Drive and you've just got your Google Doc there and you open it up, or you got a Microsoft Word, or however makes sense to you, I do what I just call a master checklist. I literally have, it's probably a 200-page document of the entire school year. And I do it in outline form, like bullets. It's all bulleted, okay? Just how my brain thinks, and I didn't want to write, paragraph form or anything. I'm just like, okay, so if I'm registering a kid, right? What do I need to do to register the kid? What are my steps? Okay, if I need to do this marketing push, who do I contact? What's the phone number? What are the things I need to change on the flyer every single year? Like, where is that flyer housed, right? Make sure that your systems that you're doing, your files and everything are pretty systemized and everything makes sense to you and you're not just have things everywhere. So documenting everything was huge because the greatest thing about that is I obviously every year perfected it, right? Okay, every year you're going in there and you're like, oh, I forgot that step, or oh, I did not like that. I'm changing this. I'm going to do it this year. And then the next year you visit it, yeah, I'll keep it, okay? So you're just repeating exactly what you did or changing, etc. But here's the beauty to this, guys. When you have documented everything, you can sell. That's the beauty. You can sell at that point. Or you can hire the director at that point, okay? So if you have the thing the way you want it, you've already created the entire system that says this is how you do it, okay? And they put their own flair on it, but it's really just processes, okay? Systems. And so then you can hire your director, etc. So I prefer to do things once, figure out how I'd prefer it to be done, document it, and then hire it. Some people will just go out and immediately hire the teachers, etc. But I do feel it's beneficial to know how you want it done the first time so that you can, I'm just a perfectionist. I'm a little bit of a control freak. Maybe that's just me, but then I feel confident giving that to them and saying, run with it, yeah? And then, so basically, yeah, as far as all my files and stuff like that, all of my files are available, like everything I've ever documented, like how I run the entire school year, all of my monthly checklists. So what do you do with HR? What do you do with your taxes, with your papers? How do you onboard families, and just everything? I've documented literally everything. When I gave everything to obviously my current owner of the preschool, I was able to stay on for a year, not really stay on, but like in the concept of consult for a year. So she basically had access to me once a month for 8 hours. That's what my agreement was with her. And we'll talk about this later in the payday system. But it was really, really interesting, guys. The very first month, we definitely used that time. Like the first couple months, she was definitely like, asking me a zillion questions and stuff like that during that time period. But like pretty much like come, I think almost like November, December on, I'd call her like, hey, are we on for, Saturday or something? No, I'm good. I literally am just following your checklist. I'm like, really? She's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, okay, cool. Call you next month. You coming over? Nope, I'm good. Literally, like, I'm like, am I ever going to see you? No, I'm just following your checklist. Like, literally, Joy, everything is so detailed. You did great, and I'm like, awesome. So that's the benefit, is that you can have that person be able to take it over, whether that's just as director or as actually by it. In the director role, what's interesting is where will you spend your time most, and is your time being spent correctly? So I want you to evaluate. Those who have current preschools, evaluate this as I say this, okay? Now I know that if you're a teacher also, you have the whole teaching segment, so just put that in a block and just put it out the window for a second, because it's not what I'm really talking about. Yeah, if you have that time block, cool. I'm talking about all your other hours of the day, okay? Any hours, period. What are those spent in? And I'll tell you what my hours were spent in, the two top things. Number one would be calls or texts. Number two is tours. Okay. So of course I wasn't teaching, right? Yeah, I was not teaching. I didn't do the events. My parent volunteers did the events. Okay. But my top priorities, and of course I'm sure I had some random stuff I did. Okay. Yes. But my top two things that spent almost like most of my time, I guess it was 75% of my time was spent on these top two tasks, was calls and texts and tours. Okay, the reason why is if you think about calls and texts, who's calling or texting me? Parents or potential parents. Okay, that phone is going to be your best friend and your own worst enemy, because I would prefer you got two phones personally. Please get two phones. You got your personal, but you got your business phone, and it has business hours and you don't answer it, but thankfully it's got a message that says, hey, thanks so much for calling. I'm sorry that you called us after hours, but please, I'm so excited to talk to you. Leave your name and phone number so I can immediately call you tomorrow morning and, answer your questions about our preschool. So you got to like immediately try to hook them, but you have their phone number. Okay, you can immediately call them back the next day. But calls and texts. Number one, my priority, and then number two was tours. Okay, tours of who? Who am I touring? Potential people. Who am I supporting? Potential people and the current people. That's it. That like, why is paperwork not one or two? Why is managing all this stuff one or two? It doesn't bring money. Okay, my time should not be invested in that. Not only does it not bring in money, it doesn't keep the money. Okay. Now sometimes people are like, Joy, why are you teaching people how to start preschool businesses? Like, you're all just in it for the money. And I say to them, I'm sorry, but if you don't have the income to support your family, you cannot support those children and teach them. Your preschool will fizzle up, okay? My goal is to help you figure out how to create successful preschools that will support your family, right? And be able to bless everybody's lives in the meantime. So the way that my preschool got supported was we had an influx of anybody who needed to fill spots, and I tried to keep the people in the spots. That's that's as a director or any director that you hire, that is their two number one goals. They're both number one. Okay. And of course, yeah, you got the other stuff, but it's filling spots or keeping parents happy. So yeah, calls and texts and tours. Tours, I batch my tours. This is another thing that I'll talk about in a second, but basically I try to batch everything that I possibly can, guys. I batch my tours, so I will literally have 2 to 3 families at a tour, if the room can accommodate. If it's a small little room, do 1, okay, or 1 or 2. if they're like, hey, can I bring my cousins? They're in town. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're just by yourself, right? Like, because you got 5 kids. But usually I'll be like, yeah, no need to get, childcare or anything. Please bring your family. It's fine for you to come to the tour with any children you have. And then let's see, batching. So we're talking about how I tour. Because I'll get a bunch of phone calls. Like if I put out a huge marketing push and there are a bunch of phone calls calling me, then it's like, so my whole tour script, right? But then, okay, I have an opening Tuesday at 4 p.m. for a tour. Would that work for you, right? Or 4 or 5 or whatever. And I'm trying to get as many people as possible into that opening. Sweet. I move on to the next opening, right? Rita, like, this is what happens when you have like crazy tours all the time. She's like, I had 5 tours today. I have like 3 tours tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many, and those were multiple families in every single tour. It wasn't just an individual family. So you have to start like thinking batching, right? Because your time's valuable. And of course, don't tour anybody unless you followed the perfect sign-up formula. They know everything about your preschool. They know at the end of the tour, they're basically committing to the spot. They know that you'll ask them the question, would you like to come to our preschool? They have to know that you'll ask them that question. That's in the perfect sign-up formula. Because it sets up your tour like success rate so that they'll actually sign up at the end, right? Not just like, this was cool, thanks for the tour. And you're like, no, wait. And you don't want to be pushy, right? So anyways, a couple things I have as far as files and all that goodness goes. Basically, the complete director toolkit. It's all of my checklist, my financials. I had 150 students. Lots of expenses, right? Lots of income, things like that. How do you manage that? The budgets. This was one thing I really created, which was awesome, which has to go with the hiring system, but still, was basically I created the entire the whole entire HR Excel spreadsheet. I like Excel spreadsheets. Do you guys like Excel? I do. I kind of geek out on them, but you need like a lot of, right? Yeah, well, it's already created. Anyways, so when I was selling my preschool and everything, I'm like, man, the one thing I wish I had when I was running my preschool that I did not have, that I know is crucial for this new owner to have, is like the entire HR system, like payroll figured out. Because I was like, I always had enough money to pay the teachers totally, but I didn't really know what all the taxes and all the stuff, and taxes get pulled out a month later, and just I think the money's in there, so anyways, created this entire literally Excel spreadsheet for her for payroll. And we did it once, and it was she's like, holy cow, this is crazy. Because we're talking, probably 15, 20 grand of payroll every single month, and you don't mess around with that kind of stuff, you need to know when taxes are coming out and all that stuff. But that's hiring. And anyways, I have that goodness. Rosters, payment packets, all that stuff as far as files. Prospect report, how do you know what your marketing is doing? Is it creating a good ROI? What's your customer value, your lifetime customer value, all that stuff I've created. And then also the director handbook, which is huge. If you're going to ever hire a director, it's the entire package of basically when to clean, all the contacts, the maintenance of the school, or all these the monthly tasks they should be doing, the passwords, what to do when. This is a huge one. What do you do when you've got if you're hiring a director, what do you do when you've got a parent who flips out at you, or what do you do when a parent, blasts you on social media, or what do you do when a child gets injured in your care? What do you do when, all these what do you do's, right? After 10 years, I think I've gotten every what do you do when, I think. And some of them are not fun. So knowing what to do in all those scenarios, I've got those listed, calendars, all that good stuff. So anyways, that's pretty much how to work smarter, not harder, is to create or use all of those things. Let's talk about registering in batches, okay? And we talked about the tours, also the paperwork, right? When I register all of my 150 families, okay, not all of them are in March. I probably do about 80 registrations in March from the current families who are staying. Everyone else is graduating. Does that make sense? But the current ones, there's probably about 80 of them that are registering. I'm not sitting there and every time I get one, I'm inputting them. Nope, they're going in a big old stack. And I know I don't even need to enter them until July. Okay, so I might jot their name in that spot. That's it, right? And then in July, I know I've got a registration day. Okay, here we go.
Oh my goodness, wasn't that amazing? Now, sorry we had to cut that off early, but I hope you've enjoyed this sample training. Now, if you'd like to unlock the rest for free inside Preschool University, then I invite you to join Preschool All-Stars. It's my exclusive membership community where you'll get mentorship from me with weekly Q&A lives, support and guidance and friendship from hundreds of women on the exact same journey as you, starting, running, and growing their preschools, and my exclusive access to Preschool University, every training and done-for-you file that you'll need for every milestone on your journey to help you start, run, and grow your preschool. We've all been there, and we've got the exact same steps that you need to go through, but we do it all very quickly so that you don't have to waste time or money doing the wrong things at the wrong time. We'd love for you to join our Preschool All-Stars membership. Just go to preschoolallstars.com or click the link in the description to immediately jump into Preschool All-Stars. Again, go to preschoolallstars.com and we'll see you there.